First off, I want to thank you guys, and I want to wish everyone a happy new year. Thank you for taking the time to join us. I see there's a lot of people. There's a couple more people still joining. We're excited to share with you guys today about the Vivid-Pix and the Vivid-Pix group to guys. And just to cover a couple housekeeping items, just like normal, just like our last webinar, we're going to hold it in so you can enter the questions into the sidebar if you'd like, or you can chat along the way. And we're going to address all the questions at the end for a matter of time saving. So we're going to save everyone a little bit of time, get you guys out of here, and then we're going to hang out and let you guys ask your questions, answer questions, and talk as long as you guys want on the back end. So we're here for you guys, and the VividPix team is going to stick around as well. Just note also at the end of the session, when you guys exit in the 3-question survey, this 3-question survey is what's going to make you guys eligible to get the 3 licenses. So you can win. We're going to pick 3 winners from the attendees today, and you guys can go ahead and pick from those. Just to kind of give you guys a little bit of background of the audience today, about 20% of you guys on the entrance questionnaire when you guys registered talked about using editing the VividPix and wanting to use it for assisting clients. About 20% of you guys, and then about 12% of you guys or 15% of you guys wanted to use it for just personal use, and then a whopping 68% wanted to use it for both. So that just kind of gives you an idea of where we're going to focus our topics today. Again, questions can go in the sidebar in the chat. If someone could do me a favor and chat in the sidebar and let me know if you can hear me, that would be great, so I know that everyone can hear me out there. So I'm going to give that 1 second while everyone else is still, a couple more people are still popping on the line. If someone could chat, that would be great. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Great. Got some good. Oh, man, I've got some people from last time. Welcome back, Judy. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to let Rick Lippert actually go ahead and take on the line. He's going to introduce the VividPix team. Rick, are you there?
I'm here, Troy. Thanks so much, and thanks, everybody, for joining us. I'd like to wish you all Happy New Year's as well. Before I introduce our dynamic duo that's going to be with us today, let me tell you a little bit about next week. You will not want to miss it, especially if you've ever wanted to organize photos and get paid for it. Then being here February the 9th at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we have got Kathy Nelson, founder and the president of the Association of Personal Photo Organizers, to be sharing with us about her organization, and they get paid for doing what they do and helping people manage their photos and preserve their stories. She's got a great story, and whether you're a newbie or you're a member of the APO group or you're thinking about doing something for work purposes in photo organizing, you don't want to miss this. And on top of that, we've got some very valuable gifts that we're going to be giving away. But today, we have an awesome team joining us to share about fixing your photos fast and easy, especially in the area if you're working with scanned photos, slides, and the like. Rick Voigt and Randy Fredlin founded VividPix about 4 years ago. In their prior lives, Rick was the vice president and national sales manager for Kodak, and then he went on to HP. Randy, his partner, is a color image scientist, and I mean that. When you talk to the guy, it's just amazing, the wealth of information. He's got over 100 patents while he was doing work at Kodak, plus some that he's gotten on other work that he's done. Together, they've got over 50 years of color and photo management experience. Thank you both for being here, Rick and Randy, and take it away.
Well, Rick and Easy Team, thanks so much for having us here today. It is our pleasure, and for everybody in the audience, thank you for joining us. As Troy mentioned at the beginning of the call, we want to give away some of our software here, and we're going to actually provide two prizes, or two sets of three total softwares. First one is that Randy's going to be covering both our scuba software and how we've then transformed that into land and sea. So coming out of this event, we're actually going to provide three softwares, and then the restore software, which he's going to be covering here, we're going to provide when that becomes available as a second prize. So three people are going to win two sets of software, and without further ado, I'm going to hand this off to Randy. Randy, lead us off.
Hello. Happy New Year again. Glad to be here, glad to show you a few things. And I think I'll jump right into this presentation, which hopefully won't take too long. Troy, if I'm going too slow or too fast, please let me know.
Perfect, will do.
What is VividPix? Well, I think Rick already mentioned that we're a small software company that started about 4 years ago. And we specialize in image correction applications, and where we got started was in scuba. This is Rick and Randy, both current pictures, of course. And I just wanted to make sure that Rick got a chance to let everybody know a little bit more about what he's done. You want to wax poetic, Rick?
Sounds good. So Rick Boyd here. As the easy folks Rick shared with you, and it's been fun, obviously, with Rick and Rick V and Rick L, having to keep track of each other's names. It's pretty hard. But I've been involved with photo for quite some time, various positions within Kodak. The last position there was Vice President National Sales Manager for any pretty picture in the United States. And I was able to be recruited over to HP, where I was also part of the retail publishing group and national sales manager over there. So photo's a part of my life. It always has been. I'm also a scuba diver, which I took my first dive when I was 8 and got certified at 14. So that's some of the passion of why we did what we did with the underwater world. But photo is, for those of you who will know, developers in my blood. Randy?
Okay. I worked at Kodak also. 29 years in research and development. As Rick mentioned, I have numerous patents that are in the imaging area, both products and image science. And I have to say that I really enjoy working with images and making their usage and appearance much better. As we already mentioned, we worked at this northeastern company making little yellow boxes. They're not making the little yellow boxes anymore. Rick left some time ago. I left about 4 years ago when we started this, and really it wasn't me leaving Kodak, it was the other way around, if you know the story, but I won't burden you with that. In the interim, we worked on when we were at Kodak, we worked on something called sea processing, which was aimed at making pictures taken underwater look quite a bit better. And that really didn't go anywhere at Kodak for a couple of reasons, but anyway, we got about a bonus 15 years to think about it and how we might want to do it better. So the way our company started was Rick called me, asked me if I could fix a few photos for him. I went ahead and did that. And then the next question was, you want to restart our band? And the answer was yes. VividPix PicsFix is our current application. And I've labeled it here as an easy-to-use software program for fixing both topside and underwater pictures. And the key point is easy to use. Our intent is to help people who have no desire or time to learn much more difficult and comprehensive programs and just want their images to look better. So we picked the niche, if you will, of underwater pictures because there's a sizable number of divers around the world, and we have sold our software to, I think, about 45 countries now, people in 45 countries, and that number is ever climbing. So there is a demand, and we're filling it. The way it works is that, first of all, we have a population of images, and the turtle you're looking at we fondly call Juan because he was captured by Rick's daughter, not captured literally, but picture was captured by Rick's daughter in Puerto Rico when she was diving there. The picture shows up pretty well that light is absorbed by water. In particular, the red light is absorbed more than blue and green, so things are out of balance. And the brightness isn't good. Contrast isn't good. It doesn't cover the full range of what you can see. And the sharpness is also reduced. And the really big problem for underwater imaging is that people look at the pictures they get and they remind them not at all of what they saw underwater. And the reason is our minds tend to auto-white balance. Visually, we're probably seeing this, but by the time it gets to our brain, it's been processed because we always think that something in the picture is white. But we can help that, and the way that happens is, and I'm showing you this because it's very similar to what we're going to be doing for what we're calling restore. Anyway, you select a picture out of all your pictures. We put up a 9-up, which varies contrast and brightness and does other corrections automatically. And you select the one that you think is best. And you go right from that 9-up to this side-by-side view. And then in the side-by-side view, which we're duplicating for restore, you'll have the opportunity to further tweak things because personal preference is involved, and also because there's always ways to make images even better. So you can start with this green turtle Juan, and automatically, this is a one-click, go from what Juan looked like originally from what he looks like now, or to what he looks like now. And you can also crop and do other things so that you can make the image even more to your liking, or save multiple different versions. Because the old adage is that in every image, there's always a better image. But obviously, that's not what I'm here to talk about. Okay, we're working on something new. We've alluded to it already. We're calling it restore. But first, I want to talk about the problem. As I'm sure you're well aware, many old images have problems. You know, they're irreplaceable family treasured pictures that really have stories with everyone, and yes, you can see what they are, and sometimes the aged look is something you want to keep, so we never overwrite the original image. That's always there for you to, the scan that you get is always there for you to use again. Anyway, all the pictures are automatically adjusted so that you can make what really is quite aged and faded into something that looks not current, but it makes them come alive. And all of these pictures have interesting issues, and what I mean by interesting is in the way that Mr. Spock for Star Trek would say interesting. It's a technical term that means, holy cow, what am I going to do with this stuff? And of course, if you're over 40, like all these pictures are, you understand that anything that ages is changing. And in most cases, not for the better, which is very much true for these images. Now for tone, I'm talking about a black and white image at this point. And yes, I played with a Slinky for hours on end when I was a kid. It was one of the good metal ones, not the plastic style that I now. But I don't mean to insult your intelligence, but I actually use this analogy in my own thinking to think about how the bits of image are distributed across the spectrum. So if you look on the left, this is probably the way most images, and I'm only talking about grayscale or black and white at this point, it's probably the way most images are printed with the full range from black at the bottom of your Slinky all the way to the top which is full white. And what the aging process does, and keeping and all kinds of factors, it literally compresses the range of what the tone scale should be in your image. And I find that that's a pretty good representation is using the Slinky, because all the coils are still there. They're just not spread out the way they once were. So in this image of my grandfather, it's pretty well faded, about 70 years old, and I think you can see that that little patch on the right, which looks white, is really not quite white, and behind him to the left is a darker spot that is probably black, but it doesn't look that way now. It's very gray. So what we want to do is expand the Slinky so that now you see white on the right and a few other places in the image, and then behind him to the left you can see a solidly black patch. And the range has been expanded so that the image is much more pleasing. In a color photo, same situation, which is even more interesting, still using the same definition, where the red, the green, and the blue channels have all been faded, and the Slinkies essentially are compressed, but they're not compressed evenly or in the same place. So it's much more difficult to expand the image into the proper contrast range. So this color image is pretty badly faded. This is the only color picture that I'm aware of that was taken of my grandmother rather, shortly before she died. And you can see that the overall cast of the image is somewhat reddish, which means that the red channel has faded towards the more red, if you will, and while green and blue rather, are more towards the bottom of the spectrum, the darker areas, less green and less blue. Okay, by doing the analysis and auto color correction, we can go from what that original faded red image was to this pretty color correct image in one click plus a few tweaks, and I'll show you what those tweaks are later. But they're all straightforward things that you can do within the Restore application. And by the way, I did this image recently in testing before we had our recent batch of test code, and now I think we may get to this point in one click without any tweaks, but that remains to be seen. So what do? We do a statistical analysis of the image to create a mathematical model or a representation, and then we take that representation and see how it varies from the ideal or desired conditions, and then on the basis of those differences we adjust color balance, brightness, contrast, and sharpness automatically. And so we go from, as you can see now at the bottom where the comparison is there for you, we go from that image on the left to the image on the right with very quickly, if not with one click. The good news here is that even with these faded images with high quality scanners, the information is still there, which allows us to expand it back to something that looks very much like the original. We're working to provide Restore, and the intent here is to provide automatic image correction. In this case, you see an image that none of these is the original. They're all corrected, but there are variances in personal preference and also in monitor display and so on and so forth. So you will want to pick the one of the 9 up that is most pleasing to you, and that'll be something you can do very easily with a single click. You also noticed up at the top right, image type. This one is scan print. We use different algorithms for scan slides, and you'll be able to select right there on this screen or on the next one which is the appropriate type that you want to correct. So you can see, once again, we go from pretty faded, not really nice looking image to really good representation of the parade. And what we've done is adjusted, as I've said before, the brightness, contrast, color balance, and sharpness. Now on this screen that you'll have after you click through on the 9-up, if you look at below the images, all the controls are right there at your fingertips so that you're able to adjust things very quickly. And you can determine where you want the image to be saved and the suffix that is applied to the image in the bottom right-hand corner. At no time do we ever overwrite the image, but we do use the original image file name and put a suffix on it so that you can discern which is the corrected image and which is not without even opening them up. Okay, we want to bring these important images back to life. We correct the dye fade, the age-related dye fade. There's yellowing photo paper involved, how the image has been exposed to light, and in particular, some images that are exposed for long periods to light shift in such a way that it's very difficult to recover at all. And in those cases, it probably makes sense to, rather than trying to reconstitute the color that isn't there, just get back a black and white image from what's a damaged color image. As you all know, you're supposed to store all your images in a cool, dry place that's completely dark, right? Yeah, like my family did that. I have plenty of samples that we can work on here. Okay, humidity damage, heat damage. The plasticizers in photo albums sometimes affect the dyes. And then there's also lamination effects. And the image of Rick that you saw to begin with was just that. It was an image that came off of his ID card when he was 15 years old. So that makes it 105 years old. And so you can see the effect of the lamination can be taken out as well. And that's it for the presentation. We're not going to change the past. We just want to make it look a whole lot better. And I think I look 100% better in my yellow raincoat there than I did originally. So, Troy, you want to take it over?
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Randy. That is perfect. I want to, wow, I learned some great things. And I want to open it for questions. I have some questions already coming in, and I'm going to pull them up. You can hear me, correct, Randy?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so we have what color channel offers the toughest challenge when restoring photos?
Well, it depends on the keeping. Different keeping situations affect different channels differently. I'd say most often what I see is the red channel is the worst, but that's not always the case. There are several samples that I've gone through where the blue channel is really deficient. And in general, I have not seen the green be as bad as the other two.
Got it. Perfect. Okay, and can it do digital born images? So
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't show it, but we have a path for digital images as well, where we don't do quite the same things because we don't expect them to be faded in any way. But there's in digital images, lots of digital images, the the contrast range is not what you'd really like, and the subject isn't lit the way you'd like it to be. So in particular, contrast and brightness adjustments and also some sharpening can help a great deal.
Okay, and then we've got a question from a Mike Sullivan. Actually, the name rings a bell as a customer. And he says, how does this software compare to the Kodak Perfect Touch software that came with the PS50? Randy, is that something that you can answer? Or?
Well, I know a few details. I'm not intimately familiar with the Kodak Perfect Touch software, but I do know that one point that I tried to make during the talk was that we never overwrite the original. We're trying to preserve that so you can try again. You can use that for other purposes. You know, if you don't like what we've done or what the automatic correction is, you can run it through the digital path and do all the corrections on your own. I don't know, maybe you could help. I don't know that much about Perfect Touch.
Yeah, well, and one of the great options of Vivid-Pix, just kind of from our standpoint, is that user selection, right? So when Randy showed the 9 images there and being able to pick per image exactly right here, that's definitely one of the highlight features that Perfect Touch at this time does not have, you know, in its availability. So just, you know, again, it's something that, you know, we're doing lots of photos, lots of old photos, whether it be your own or your customers, and we want to give you guys the capability to, you know, have that one touch fix for them, but then also have the capability to go and offer a really wide range of services. So yeah, Troy, I hope that asked that one. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know if I really let people know what was going on here, but the center image that we put up is what we think is, you know, mathematically we've calculated is the best fix. We're not always right, and people have preferences, and the subject matter matters. So what we've done is vary contrast in one direction and brightness in another, so that you can make a better selection than what we've provided.
Perfect. Okay, so I think that kind of answers that, Mike. If you need any follow up on that, we can definitely follow up with you personally there. Okay, here's another one. If you have an old photo that is torn or has discoloration, how does the software restore the tears, or does it do anything with the tears?
At present, we're not doing anything what I call spatially. A tear is located to a particular portion of the image. That's something that I knew people would be asking for, and we'll think about what we do for such things. But for our first release, I think we're probably only going to do global corrections.
Perfect. Awesome. That's a good answer. Okay, we have another one from Kate. She says, I have problems when scanning pictures that have large fields of darkness or black, that have a lot of noise. She says, can that be corrected easily?
Well, I'd have two approaches there. One is that you can turn sharpening off in our program so that the noise is not enhanced. Okay, so sometimes that is an issue. The second thing I do is if it's really in the black areas, you can drop the level with either brightness or contrast, or the combination of the two, so that that noise gets clipped. But that's dependent on, you know, what the subject matter is.
Gotcha. And you can do that in the Restore software, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, we've got two that kind of coincide, so I'm gonna ask one, and then I'm gonna ask the other one. It says, it does both slides and photos using different settings. That's a question.
we have a setting for reflective media and also transmissive media. You know, like we call it slides and prints. In general, we use different algorithms for each. And in general, what we do in order to make the corrections on the print tracks the print pretty well. And what we do on the slide tracks the slide pretty well. But I have noticed, and my partner Rick can chime in, but we both noticed that on occasion, and personal preference may be involved, but on occasion, using the slide correction on the print does a nice, even nicer job, and vice versa.
Gotcha. So you can actually use both in the Restore software. It
Yeah,
sounds like so. You can kind of pick and choose and.
Yeah, what you're right here on the screen that's up right now, in the upper right-hand corner in that little blue bar. While you're looking at the 9-up, you can switch between the two different selections and see which you think is better. Or
Awesome.
if that doesn't work for you, you can do it on the next screen as well. We still have that blue bar on the right where you can select whichever way you want to handle the image.
Gotcha. Okay, so that leads into the next question, which I think this is actually a really good question. It says, how does it work well with, or does it work well, excuse me, with scans from 35mm slides, both Kodachrome and Chrome?
You mean both Kodachrome and
both the
Ektachrome?
different types. Yeah, do you have two settings, or how does that work?
No, right now.
Can you make a setting? Or?
Yes. If you look at the bottom hand corner of the screen now, there's a setting name, and then the bar. And what we're using now is the calculated starting settings using the 9-image choice, and that's this screen. You don't have to go through that screen. You can make your own settings that work best for you, and then apply that to each image in turn without going through the 9-up. So
gotcha.
the real answer to that question is we don't have different settings for Kodachrome and Ektachrome, at least not yet. When I get better populations, we may want to do that, but I haven't seen the need yet. And the other is that should you want to create your own settings to apply again and again because of populations of images, you can do it using the mechanism for settings in the lower left-hand corner.
Gotcha. So if you had some specific type of things that were stored just really bad one way, or everything all kind of has the same issue, you can kind of make your own customized and then apply it to the entire collection. Sounds like.
Yeah, so let me explain maybe two use cases. So the first use case may be that it was a birthday party. And with the birthday party, all those pictures were taken. They all kind of are faded in the same way. They were stored in the same way. You could fix the first one. You could save that setting, and then you could automatically apply that same setting to all the next pictures. So it'd be a really fast fix. And then if, in fact, there's a broader population and you like the way that the pictures look a certain way, you can save that setting and then apply that to a bunch of different pictures. So we start out with some very good global fixes, and then you can tweak it from there as well and create multiple of your own adjustment settings.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so that kind of chunks out a couple of the other questions. If you can group photos at one time. So can you do a group of photos at one time?
You can. The preferred method, because there's always, well, not always, you can do a lot of one-click fixes, and they're very good. How good you want your final image to be, it's always good to take a look and maybe tweak just a tad, because no two images are the same. And so yes, you can. The preferred way, to my mind, is that you can gang up a whole bunch of images, and you don't have to go back and select every time, but you can select a whole bunch of images and go through them very quickly to decide, what you want to do with each one. And if you don't like the first, you can save multiple copies, so it's not a big deal to try again if you decide you want to do something different with a few images.
Right, so it's a little bit different than the Photoshop or the Photoshop way where you would go through each one and tweak it and maybe have some auto settings. You're getting a selection and you're picking the best of every single one, it sounds like. So you kind of move through them because you're getting the best options, as you kind of said mathematically, on the 9 screens. Does that kind of answer that?
Yeah, I'd probably need to know a little bit more about what the use case is, and could discuss it better at that point.
Sure, perfect. No, yeah, I think it was just if I have a bunch of these and I want to do them. Okay, what would happen if I did land pictures with the underwater software?
Well, in most cases, with our underwater software, when we do the analysis, we detect the fact that, hey, this doesn't look like it was taken underwater, so we don't apply our depth removal, which is a color balance function, our patented color balance function. So if you use the underwater setting for the land pictures, it shouldn't make much difference. Now, if you do the reverse, if you use the topside setting, the land setting for underwater pictures, they won't look so good because the depth removal won't be applied.
Gotcha. Okay, another question came in. They said that we just, some more clarification. Can this do a batch restore? So by batch meaning here's 100 pictures, restore all of these. How would that work? Would you go through every single one on a 9? Like, can you highlight multiple images? Kind of explain how that will work.
Well, we can definitely do batches. Essentially what you're talking about is point at a folder and let it run.
Yep.
Yes, you can do that. I'm not sure that will be available in this product, which is a personal version. The first version, it may be in the professional version that comes out later. What's your thought there, Rick?
Rick L. or Rick V? Yeah, I concur completely. We want to make sure that we've got great ways to be able to fix Pix in order to be able to have a consumer model that they're able to fix Pix and fix a bunch at once. And then also from a professional standpoint, so that the business owner is able to apply a different use case to those.
Perfect. So there's going to be 2 licenses, and that leads me probably to my, and it's kind of rolling down here to the last question. Kind of talk about the pricing versus the personal versus I think you called it the professional model, and kind of talk about that a little bit so that we can kind of understand, what's the personal version going to cost, or what is your landed fee, and what's your personal restore going to cost, and then what's the professional going to run?
Sure. So we're looking at an MSRP of the personal version of Restore at $79.99 and the professional version in between $199 and $249.
Perfect. So that kind of gives you a range a little bit, everyone, about where it's going to be. Again, with the professional version, which a lot of you guys, again, over 50% of you guys are interested in using it for your business and personal use, you're definitely going to be able to do that batch restore and some of those bigger things. Are you going to be able to upgrade from, like, with the personal version, I spent the $79 and then I want to go upgrade? Can I upgrade, or how is that going to be capable? Or
yes.
Perfect. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to ask one more time if there's any more questions out there. I think I've answered all the ones that have come in on the bar. If you kind of have some shaky answers, or you need some more detailed or in-depth answers, if you want to go ahead and answer yes on the survey when you exit, one of the questions is if you would like someone to get in touch with you. We're not going to hassle you. We just want to make sure that if you have any questions, we get them answered. We get them answered in detail. So if you'd like one of us to reach out, one of our reps or myself, or we'll be passing that information along to Randy and Rick as well. And then Rick V, not Rick L. Not Rick L is Easy Photo Scan. And we'll be passing them along, and then they can reach out and get us some detailed answers for you guys. All righty? So it looks like everything's kind of winding down. I want to thank you guys again so much for taking your time, both the listeners and the VividPix team. There's one last question that did come in last second here. It says, when is the software planned to launch? I think we talked about that a little bit. Give us a little bit of answer on that if you guys wanted to go ahead and.
Well, it's the usual creative tension. The marketing and sales side wants it yesterday, and the technical side wants to make sure it's perfect. So we hope to have the PC Windows version ready during the first quarter.
Perfect. And so with that, with all the listeners that are still there, you guys are going to be hearing from us because you came to this webinar, and so you guys are going to get first lot, and you're going to be the first ones to know what's available. Definitely, I think, and we'll get a heads up from these guys, and we're going to reach out to you guys so that you guys can start kind of feeling it out. If you win one of the 3 licenses for joining today and taking the survey, we'll get that out to you as well when the time is available and released. And I think that's it, guys. I really appreciate it so much. This webinar was recorded, so if you guys had to skip out or if you missed a couple details or something you want to follow up or send it to maybe a business partner or maybe a friend or family member, we'll be shooting out the recording link as well. And thank you guys so much. Don't forget, our next webinar is on February 9. If you're going to be at Roots Tech, which is the genealogy conference, technology conference in Salt Lake City, we want to see you guys. We're going to have a big booth out there. We're going to be scanning pictures and talking about some of the VividPix stuff as well. And then our next webinar is on February 9, which is right after that. It is Start Organizing Photos for Cash. Okay, so we definitely want you guys. We asked a bunch of questions to our attendees last time, and this is what they wanted to hear about. So we want you guys to join us. And it's going to be Kathy Nelson from the AFO organization. She's the co-founder and the president of that organization. So thank you guys again so much for joining. I hope you guys have a great week and a good rest of the week. And Happy New Year.